Alright, so I said I wouldn't do this again because, I hate doing these kind of videos. I feel like they're kind of lazy. But at the same time, they're easy, and with that comes the ability to make a point without having to do a whole lot. Anyway, all I wanted to talk about here was how every time a group passes itself off, or at least attempts to pass itself off as so-called anonymous, people get really freaked out about it. They figure, oh well, it's anonymous doing it, and after what was that? Is it OPSEC? Something like that. LulzSec. After the whole LulzSec thing, Anonymous's prevalence in even like news media exploded. You have completely ridiculous level of exposure for a group that, beforehand was more or less an unknown entity on the internet, outside of 4chan, and probably something awful, but I've never been on there, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, basically you'd have what existed on the internet that proclaimed itself to be anonymous, and that was it. And then, all the crazy shit starts happening with the AT&T leaks and all that, and everyone goes, oh, well, it's anonymous, they're crazy, they're this big group of hackers, and they own everything, because they're like a real world Illuminati kind of thing, almost, because they're just this entity that exists that can hack anybody and all this. And it's like, during the LulzSec thing, that was like the only time I've ever seen so-called anonymous actually do anything. And I keep saying so-called anonymous because anonymous doesn't exist, if that makes sense. It doesn't. What anonymous is a banner. It's a moniker. It's a title that anybody can put themselves under. If you want to proclaim yourself to be anonymous, you are anonymous. You can do whatever you damn well please, and this is how it's going to work. You're anonymous. You just do it. And you did it because you're anonymous. I'm starting to ramble here. It's because I didn't write this down for once. So, saying that you're anonymous means nothing. It means literally nothing. Because there is no group, there's no hacker group that is anonymous. It's just a title. So, getting past that, the fact that there is no such thing as anonymous, let's move on to the fact that the so-called hacking that keeps going on, because the big thing now is that, a website goes down and a group says that they were responsible for it. And everyone goes, it's a big hacker. These crazy hackers are like anonymous. It's not a hack. Some websites will call it what it is, and that's a DDoS. DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service. A DDoS attack is one of the easiest attacks. And it's often easy to exploit or easy to use against larger companies because for some strange reason these companies just don't even try to prevent denial of service attacks. Because really all it takes is just IP filtering rules, basically. You just have to have an active firewall on your systems, and for some reason I guess they just don't pay their sysadmins enough to do anything about that. Because what a distributed denial of service attack is it's a botnet, typically, of, thousands upon thousands of computers, all sending data to one website, a group of servers, or server in some cases. The point of this is to deny the service. If you flood a machine with enough just dummy information, it will bog down because it's trying to process everything that's being given to it. You're sending and this isn't even you hitting refresh on a page, as fast as you can. It's not even that. It's faster than that. The kind of data that we're talking that you're sending through the internet pipe to, this service. So, like, whenever the most recent Sony and Xbox Live, the PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live services went down, that was a denial of service attack. All that happened was they bashed the online servers with, millions upon millions of repeated attacks. Just dummy packets. And obviously the services aren't designed for that sort of thing, especially not all at once. It's why whenever you have a website like you see this a lot whenever a smaller, lesser known service, like a startup or an indie project or something, gets huge media coverage. You see an indie game that's web-based or something get coverage on, say, Kotaku or IGN, something like that. Oftentimes that service, the service that the game runs on, or the website even that the game is served from, will just go down. And what it is it's an unintentional denial of service attack. And often you'll see DOS and DDoS used interchangeably, and while that makes sense to a point, the difference is with a DOS attack, it's one computer or a very small group of computers all doing it at once. This is somebody that has their own personal server farm that is throwing all of this out there. It's very uncommon anymore, because what's easier is a distributed denial of service attack, which allows you to do the same thing, but globally, typically. And the main difference is, with a denial of service attack, it's very easy to block that one IP address and be done with it. But with a distributed denial of service attack, you have to constantly keep denying new IP addresses. Again, this isn't that hard if you have an active firewall, because all you would need is just something that goes, well, you've been trying to access me, 1,000 times in the last 30 seconds. You're probably doing some kind of attack. I'm just going to cut you off now. That's it. That's all you got to do. But for some reason, a lot of these larger companies just are too cheap or too stupid to have any of these kinds of things in place. So, going back to what Anonymous has to do with any of this, and why I'm making this video in the first place, is there was an attack on, was it Newsweek? Something like that. It was a social networking site. A Twitter page for some magazine or something. And it was for a supposedly pro-ISIS group, which, I don't know, going to this particular group's Twitter page really just made it seem like they're yet another small group of so-called hackers on the internet, just trying to make it funny, basically, because they're pretty sure they can get away with it. And more than likely they will for at least a while. But the key thing here is that people are really blowing out of proportion what they're doing. Social network accounts are notoriously easy to break into. Specifically Twitter and Facebook, because nobody secures their online accounts. Nobody. And what's the easiest thing to do is to get into somebody's email, because most of these companies will use either an individual employee's private email or an email that's dedicated to the purpose of being the social networking page, or just all the social networking accounts for this website that we're talking about. And with that, they don't see it as a high priority to do any kind of security measures on that email account. It's a throwaway email account. Who cares? Who's going to hack a fucking social networking site? Well, groups like whatever the hell these guys were called, some pro-Islam group. The easy thing is to use what's called social engineering, which is fairly, I mean, it's complicated, but not really. I don't know how to really summarize that. Basically, it's you call customer service, pretend to be the person that's trying to get their password back, and you get it back. And there was a big debacle involving this with Apple and Amazon, where you could essentially recover your Apple account with the last 4 digits of your credit card number, which you could get by you would call like Amazon customer service or something, and you could be like, what was the card I used for this transaction? I can't see it. And then they'd give it to you, or something like that, and then you'd go to Apple and be like, well, here's the last 4 digits of my credit card, give me my password over the phone, or reset it to this email address because I don't have the password for this other email address. And they would do it, because fuck security protocol. So that happened, and that's kind of what goes on with most hacking nowadays. It's social engineering, which goes on with what I'm getting at in a minute. Anyway, you know, it's really easy to break into a social networking account like Twitter or Facebook, because nobody uses, say, 2-step verification for any of those things, for their email, for their social networking accounts. And really, that would probably save most of these companies a lot of the trouble, because these groups that do all this so-called hacking, most of the time, probably don't know what the fuck they're doing. The reason I say this is, why would a pro-ISIS, non-Islam, anti-America in particular group waste its time hacking the Twitter page for Newsweek magazine whenever they could hack the Twitter page of Barack Obama or the White House? And going further from that, if they are apparently these hackers, why don't they hack internal security groups within the United States? Why don't they hack RSA again? Get all the seeds out for the OTP tags for all of the companies that use RSA still, which is a lot of them. Why don't they hack Google? If somebody released the random seeds for all of Google's two-step verification passwords, oh, that'd be doomsday for Google. Here's why they don't. It's because they can't. It's because these are more or less what's known as script kiddies, or skiddies. These are basically the punk thugs of the hacker world, or the internet world, whatever you want to say. These are the guys that don't really know what they're doing, but like to look like they know what they're doing. And that's it. And the reason I brought Anonymous into this is because apparently they've recently said something about, well, we're gonna do shit to ISIS because we're anonymous. Again, this is not the Anonymous because the Anonymous doesn't exist, but there's this group portraying themselves as Anonymous who is doing these things, and apparently they're taking down websites and hacking Twitter accounts and all this, and taking down a website for Anonymous, particularly recently with all of the things that so-called Anonymous has been doing, have amounted to DDoS attacks. And, you know, as I just said, hacking a Twitter account really ain't shit. Especially if you know anything about anybody that's, you know, working on that page, which, Google searching and paying a little bit of money will go a long way for doxing somebody, if you've heard that phrase. So, you may wonder, well, if these guys don't know what they're doing, how do they get all these computers for the DOS, or for the DDoS attacks? That would be a good question if it wasn't for the fact that Lizard Squad, another group that recently gained some infamy, they were the ones behind the Xbox and PlayStation attacks. If Lizard Squad hadn't given that all away immediately, which was on their Twitter page the entire time, it's just a registry, I guess you could call it. It's just a fucking, you just sign up with an email and a password so that they can contact you whenever they're doing a thing, and you click a button and you attach your computer to the botnet. It's just a bunch of random fucking people. And that's it. They aren't doing anything. This used to be made even easier, or at least on the same level of ease, with LOIC, the Low Orbital Ion Cannon, something that was spread around 4chan for a good while. It was literally just a DDoS tool. All it is you put in the address that you want to attack and click the button and it goes to town. Just constantly sends dummy packets to whatever you want. And with Low Orbital Ion Cannon, LOIC attacks, all it was, well, you've probably read about so-called raids on Tumblr or 4chan, whenever that was going on. Same kind of deal, really. Just groups of people would get together in a thread or on a hashtag or what have you, and they would go, here's what we're doing. We're doing an Operation Fuck Butts, and alright, for OP Fuck Butts 2015 on February 32 at 6 o'clock AM or PM, we don't know. You click the button, and that's it. That's all it is. There's no hacking going on here. The closest thing to hacking is some social engineering that gets you some Twitter passwords, which can be changed immediately. If these pages were actually hacked, which I don't know if you've checked Newsweek, they're fine now. If these were actually, people that were getting hacked, they wouldn't just immediately be back up and running within an hour or so. And that's basically what this sums up to, is everyone who blows this completely out of proportion is a complete idiot who doesn't know what they're talking about, which is pretty common, with anything technical. But it's becoming a problem, I think, because it's creating more and more unrest for no good reason, and it's giving more power to these groups that really don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I guess that's really the point I'm trying to make here, is that every time you share, an article about, some ISIS support group or Anonymous doing some kind of operation, you're just sharing bullshit, which that's what social networking is anyway. But it's just, you're being that guy that didn't catch on to this thing that went on, a month or two ago, and he still thinks that the terrorists have won, kind of thing. I don't know how to explain it other than you're stupid. And it's not entirely the fault of the individuals, because I know nobody really teaches this stuff, but it's a Google search, man. That's all it is. That's all a lot of stuff is you Google, what is a DDoS? Oh, it's this. Oh, they didn't actually do anything. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that the Wikipedia page even mentions LOIC. And if not, Google LOIC, Google fucking a DDoS, and you'll probably find something about LOIC. That should be enough to tell you that these groups don't know what the fuck they're really doing, and they're skitties. They're script kiddies. These people that are calling themselves anonymous saying we're gonna take down Twitter pages, they're script kiddies, because actual hackers don't fucking bother with fucking Twitter accounts. They leak AT&T's internal documents. Okay, they leak phone numbers. They leak personal information. That's what actual hackers do. And they do it without being public about it, other than whenever they actually have something. So that's really what I'm trying to say, is that these groups that are becoming, prominent in media now, they are nothing. They are nothing. And you're stupid for believing otherwise. So now that everyone who might have actually subscribed to me because they liked me hates me because I just called them stupid, well, it was worth it. Till next time.